Okay, welcome guys. Hi. Welcome to our kitchen. It's a beautiful Sunday, a little windy outside. Here's my daughter Nora. She's helping. Look, the camera's right there. That's my puppy barking. And a little bit of a tour of our kitchen. Here you go. You can see lots and lots of magnets from our travels. My daughter has her play kitchen behind us as well. Okay, and what are we going to be making today, Nora?
We're gonna be making
Yes, we're going to be making some salt dough. So I read through some of the supplies that you have at your house. A lot of you guys have some pretty decent art supplies, but I was saying in one of my last videos that artists tend to be super resourceful. And so one of the things I want to teach you guys is how to make some salt dough clay if you wanted to create some sculptures this week as part of one of your Google choices for your Google choice board. Okay, so here's the things that you're going to need. You're going to need, let's see if you can see my,
flour.
1 second, Nora. Let me see if you can see my tray. Okay, so what you're going to need is you're going to need, yes, but let me tell them how much they need, okay, honey? Okay, you need half a cup of flour. Okay, and by the way, this salt dough recipe makes a small amount of salt dough. So if you want to make more, you could double it. So you need a half a cup of flour, just regular flour, a quarter cup of salt. You'll also need a quarter cup of water. That's all you need for the actual ingredients for your dough. What you'll need to mix it in is some sort of mixing bowl and, of course, a wooden spoon. Okay? Now let me talk about a few of the other things I have on my board right now. Ooh, let's see if you guys can see this better. This is the first time we're kind of doing it this way, so I don't know if y'all could see these. So one of the things I have is an airtight bowl and some cling wrap. Okay, so if you want to save your dough after you build it, you could wrap it up in cling wrap and then put it in an airtight container, and it can stay in the fridge for up to 5 days. Okay. Another thing that I have is a tray for baking on. Okay. You are going to bake your creations at 250 degrees Fahrenheit for actually a long time, for about 3 to 3.5 hours. All right. And you'll want to check on it periodically, but it's kind of baking low and slow, as they say. And you'll want it to cool all the way before you paint it or do anything with it. Now, some other fun things I thought you could do was with the salt dough, first of all, you can search on the internet, some ideas of what you could create with salt dough clay. It feels a little different than regular clay. It actually kind of feels almost like a cookie dough in a way. But as you can see here, I had made these of my daughter's hands and foot when she was a baby. So I made it for Mother's Day when she was 10 months old and for Father's Day when she was 11 months old. I just shaped the dough into a circle shape. I did an impression of her foot. I did an impression of her hand. And then I used some acrylic paint to paint it. Okay. And so you could do something along those lines. We've made ornaments out of our salt dough. You can even make some cool pendants. Okay, we used a skewer to poke a hole at the top of these, or you could use a pencil to poke a hole at the top. And we hung some pretty ribbon up. And as you can see, my daughter's 4, almost 5 in July, and these have held up really, really nice. We also made some ornaments a couple of years ago that we still have for ourselves and for our family members. And so they last a really long time. Another thing I was thinking is that maybe you could dye your dough, okay? Maybe different colors and like maybe get mixing different bowls and then like swirl it all together if you don't have paint. And so here's one heart pendant, with a hole in it where we dyed the dough and just swirled it all together and cooked it that way. So if you don't have any paint at your house, if you have some food coloring, you could dye the dough that way. Coming later next week, how to make paint with some natural materials at your house. Okay. Another thing I thought of, oh, that's my daughter's baby kitty. Okay. Another thing I thought of is if you have any cookie cutters, you could cut shapes out of your dough. Here's some of my favorites. I have a lot of cookie cutters. I love cooking, and I have a lot of fun cooking things in my house, including cookie cutters. So I have this great star, this teapot, which is one of my favorites, Snoopy, right? What's this one? A paw print and a cat. Or if you have some Christmas cookie cutters, this might be fun. And guys, this might be fun for the whole family, you know, something to do this week while you're stuck at home. So keep that in mind. Okay? Hi again. Okay. No, we're going to leave the door open. We have our door open here, you can see. So we wanted to see our beautiful outdoors. It's really pretty right now. It's a little cooler, but nice. And that was Gil that was walking in. Okay, so ready? Ready to start making our salt dough?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it. All right, so to begin with, the first thing you're going to need to do is get your bowl. And I want to make this so you can see all of us. Almost. There we go. Okay, ready? Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to pour in your flour. So can you do that for us, Nora?
Yes.
Okay, so let's put Kitty here. And, pour your flour. Yep. There you go. Perfect. Oops. Perfect. The next thing we want to do is you want to put, remember that was a 1/2 cup of flour. You want to put your 1/4 cup of salt. Okay. Let me see if you can see our bowl. Okay. And then you want to thoroughly mix all of that up.
Like me.
Okay?
Like I mix everything.
Yep. So you thoroughly mix that up, Nora. Try to not get any out of the bowl. And Mommy's going to go get some water. Okay?
I'm gonna have a 2-minute cup before you are done with the water.
Good job mixing. So the next thing we want to do is you keep mixing, okay?
You put water.
That's right. Oops, be careful though. We want to keep it all in the bowl. All right, so you need a 1/4 cup of water, as you can see I have here, and you want to gradually pour that in. So that means you want to just pour a little bit at a time, okay? So you stir that up really well so it starts to adhere. I kind of told you guys it's kind of like cookie dough texture. Guys, this is edible, but I don't recommend eating it unless you have enjoy weird stuff. Okay, it's going to be super salty and very bland as far as like the dough. Okay. But it's not cookies though, right? We're making clay like we did for your handprint.
Yeah, but
Tell them a little bit about some of the art you like to make when you're home.
okay. Hey guys, so I make some like sculptures out of Play-Doh.
Ooh, Play-Doh's a great thing to make sculptures of. What are some other things you could make sculptures of at home that we've used?
Clay.
We've used clay. We've used, what are we making now?
Clay. Some Play-Doh clay.
We're making salt dough.
Salt dough. And we can make.
What else have we made sculptures out of?
Legos.
Yeah.
And also, I'm going to tell you about another kind of experiment I like to do. So, for Mommy's story, I'm going to tell you all the experiments I like to do. So, also,
why don't you go ahead and tell them because I'm almost done stirring. As you can see, guys, it's starting to adhere more.
And also, guys, guess what? So, today I'm gonna tell you right now that I like to cook.
Yes, we like to cook a lot in our house, don't we?
We always cook together.
We do. So one of the things I want to tell you is I started using my hands to kind of adhere this together, and I can tell that it probably needs just a little bit more water. So you kind of have to be the judge. If it's too watery, then you probably need a little bit more flour and salt. If it's too dry, like mine is right now, then you probably need a little bit more water. But again, be super gradual. I filled up about half of my quarter cup here, and I'm only going to put in a few drops at a time while I make this adhere, because I don't want it to be too sticky, and I feel like this was definitely more than enough.
I'm not so good.
But we like to cook a lot, don't we, Nora?
Yep.
What kind of things do we cook? What did we make this last week?
Cookies.
What did we put in our cookies?
We put
Nutella? Do you remember that?
cowboy.
Yes, you can have a Nutella cookie when we're done. Okay, so you can see here, and I'm kind of scraping up using the dough some of the extra salt and flour from my bowl, that I have a pretty good mixture here. Okay, so the next thing you need is some sort of cutting board. I've got my wooden cutting board here. Sorry about all the camera angles, guys. I'm still kind of figuring out how to do these videos using my document camera. But you need to knead your dough. Okay?
Yeah, let me.
So, yep, let me show them some basics, and I'm going to let you do it too. Okay? So to knead your dough, you're going to actually feel the salt in there, as I can feel the salt in mine. Okay? As I'm kind of squishing it with the palm of my hand. Okay? And folding it over. Okay? And just kneading it, just like you would any kind of bread. In fact, we might do a lesson on how to make homemade bread at some point. So you go ahead and start kneading some of that, Nora, while I put some of these into the sink.
This is how we make it. Well, Mommy turned that away. Then I can also feel the salt. And I'm mushy it. I'm doing it back again. And I can also feel the salt. It feels super good.
It feels super good in your hands. It really doesn't make your hands that messy if you hold your hand up, Nora, so they can see. Hold your hand out without the dough. See? We just have a few specks of flour and dough on our hands. This really isn't that messy. So feel free to do this with some of your siblings at home too. Kind of think about what you want to do. Maybe you could research online salt dough sculptures, make some early Christmas ornaments, or Mother's Day is coming up in May, or some Easter decorations for your house.
Or you can make Easter eggs out of it.
Sure, that sounds like a great idea. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this up.
Hey, you could make an Easter bunny if you had a lot of dough.
Yeah, you could make an Easter bunny, or maybe if you had an Easter bunny cookie cutter. So I think that's what we're going to do. So here's my salt dough. As you can see, it feels kind of like cookie or bread texture. Okay, if you've ever made any kind of bread, or like pizza dough. It's actually not far off from a recipe for pizza dough. If you look up pizza dough recipes, it's kind of a similar recipe. So I'm going to pinch off just a little bit of this, and I'm going to leave the rest to the side. One of the things I tell students is when you make clay is I like to roll it up. So let me give you a piece to roll up too, Nora. I like to roll it in the palm of my hands like this. Okay?
I make a wiggly worm.
Ooh, what a great idea. Nora's making a wiggly worm. So I like to roll the dough up into the palm of my hands. Even though this is pretty smooth as it is, I want to make it a little bit smoother. You can see my daughter's making a wiggly snake. Okay. And what I was thinking was I'm going to actually get a little rolling pin that I have. I actually have some fun rolling pins here. ask your parents, see what kitchen items they have, because look, I have this really cool rolling pin that has this great texture in it. And man, wouldn't that be cool to roll out a texture into your dough?
I got my.
See? That's really neat, right?
Yeah, no.
And then you could even just turn that into a pendant. But one of the things I want to do, come here and help me do a cookie cutter. Let's roll our cookie dough out.
Mommy, I was going to get my rolling pin.
Oh, that's a great idea. Let me move your snake out of the way for a minute, though. And so let's roll out.
So, you see, guys?
And then, hold on one second. You want to make sure that it's not too stuck to your board. So I just squished mine. I could tell when I was rolling it out that I made it way too thin. Okay, so I want to redo that. And I'm just going to use a regular rolling pin this time. And that looks pretty good. About the thickness of a smallish cookie would be good, if you can see there. I always say like a nail thickness might be a good thickness for your sculptures. And let's find one that fits in here. Does Snoopy, do you want to try to make a Snoopy sculpture? So let's squish Snoopy in.
Yeah.
Good, that's good enough. So here we go. And now we're going to take this part away. Okay, and then I'm going to get a spatula
to flip it over.
To pick it up, just like you would make a cookie, guys.
Can I pick it up? Can I flip it over?
We're not flipping it over, babe. We're going to put this onto our baking sheet. And I'm using a baking sheet that has a slip mat on it. If you don't have one, that's okay. It shouldn't really stick to any trays. Okay, so we're going to make a Snoopy sculpture. One of the things I was thinking about showing you guys was how I made that heart pendant. I'm not going to dye this dough for the sake of time because this is almost a 20-minute video so far. But I was thinking I could show y'all how you could make some kind of basic shapes. I'll turn it around in just a second. I want to do a cool little shape on the bottom. And then use a skewer to make a hole. Okay, so here's a skewer where I could poke a hole in my dough.
Guess what I'm making?
What are you making, love? And I'm going to put that on my tray too.
I'm making something super cool. So guys, you see, I'm making something.
You want to make that snake?
All
right, put it on our tray.
Hang on. I'm not going to make just a snake. I'm going to make something cool. I'm going to make something.
Well, let's go ahead and put it on our tray so we can wrap up our video. Ooh, what a great snake.
And I'm going to do this.
Okay. So, remember, when you put it in the oven, you want to cook it low and slow. You want to cook it for about 3 to 3.5 hours at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? All right. Well, good luck. You can also find a bunch of other salt dough recipes on the internet and ideas on YouTube as well. It's just another option if you're at home and a way to kind of enrichen your lives with art using some home products. All right, Nora, say bye.
Bye. And make sure you make some wiggly worms out of it.
Ooh, yeah.
And make sure you make some hearts out of it too.
Okay, bye.